Yo, what's good? What's poppin'? How you doing, Elijah? A family compound? That's so random. Like, what's that for? For what? Like, for y'all? That sounds kind of lit. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, if you got a tight family, that sounds like a vibe. Yo. What's good, man? How's everybody doing out there, man? How's everybody? Yeah. I was into the idea, but thinking through working that out seems... I mean, yeah, I mean, the reality is it's going to be a lot. Any property, any type of property is going to be a lot. But it could go like a really long way too, you know what I'm saying? Like... Oh man, let's go. We're almost at the weekend, baby. What a fucking game last night, huh? I know there was a couple games last night, but there was only one game we were all watching. There's only one game. Hi, Mom. There was only one, man. There was only one. Sorry I'm a little late. The leaf blower guys were doing their thing, so I was trying to have y'all listen to that shit for 30 minutes. I was trying to do that, but we are here, man. We are here. Welcome in to another episode of the Jayson Estrera Show, where we talk about basketball as accurate as possible. Now, like I was just saying, yesterday there were a number of games that were on, but the reality was there was only one game that we were all watching, and that was the Los Angeles Lakers taking on the Dallas Mavericks. Now, we are going to get into that. I have overanalyzed and overthought about all of the different scenarios that kind of took place in that game, and we'll talk about it today. And we'll get into all of that. But I did want to talk about, before we get into that, one of the more exciting games that we saw on Monday night, which was the Minnesota Timberwolves taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Wolves were down by as much as 25 this game. They were down by as many as 25, and somehow, some way, pulled off the 3-point victory. And Brian Windhorst, and you know, Brian Windhorst has had a very, very long career in sports and in basketball in particular. But I really do hate it when some of these guys talk about something in the game and pretend like they're the first one that came up with it. They pretend like they're like, oh my God, the Oklahoma City Thunder have this one weakness. I can tell you this, right? You remember that first game that the Thunder and the Cleveland Cavaliers played? They were both like 30-something, right? We were less than 40 games into the year. They had the same flaw then, which is their inability to break out of a 2-3 zone. And ironically enough, there's a lot of people that were, that talk about OKC is their championship contenders. They're the favorites in the West and so on and so forth. And I say, hold your horses. Because when we look at the Oklahoma City Thunder, I hope this has no audio. When we look at the Oklahoma City Thunder, what have I said from the beginning? Since the beginning of last year and even since the beginning of this year and even in last season, right? They have a number 2 option in Jalen Williams. But even he hasn't fully risen into that role yet. At least in comparison to other number 2 options in the league. They have no definitive number 3 options. They have very good players throughout their team. They have no definitive third option. And the last thing that I said, especially going into this year, was they're really suffering from not having Chet Holmgren for such an extended period of time, because they have to get comfortable and everyone is going through this growth period. But to do that without one of the key pieces makes it hard when they come back in and you got to get them into the fold. So all of those things, despite their wins, I think says we gotta wait and see when it comes to this Oklahoma City Thunder team. Bruce, Big Bruce, what's good? Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Lakers are fool's gold. We will be talking all about that today as well, man. We'll be talking all about that today. Giving up the lead that they gave up is alarming for the Oklahoma City Thunder, right? I don't think you could be a championship team if a simple 2-3 zone can take you out of a game. It was the same thing for the Miami Heat when they went up against the Dallas Mavericks, right? Everyone wanted to talk about Dirk or JJ Barea or Jason Terry, right? Because they were all great in that series. A 2-3 zone is what really halted and slowed down the Miami Heat's offense. And even them, a championship level team, the fact that they couldn't break out of a 2-3 zone led them to losing an NBA championship. So I don't think you can be a championship team if a simple 2-3 zone is enough to break you. And like I was just saying, the same thing happened to them in their first meeting against Cleveland. The same exact thing. Third quarter, end of the second, and through most of the third quarter, the Cleveland Cavaliers in that first game were in a 2-3 zone. And the problem it presents for the Oklahoma City Thunder is what? Yes, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scores 30-plus points per game. Even more important than the points are his ability to get into the paint possession after possession after possession. Because part of the reason why he doesn't average more assists is because he gets a lot of hockey assists. He gets the kick out and it's the second or the third person on the swing that hits the three or drives that gets the score. But it all starts from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's ability to break down his defender and get into the paint. If you take that away, you now force everyone else to either make a three or make a play. And to do that possession after possession, it's tough when you are inexperienced. Everyone but Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And so this is a known problem that the Oklahoma City Thunder have. And I think it's a problem when you don't have a definitive second option that can also take over a game at a given notice, right? At any given time. Free throws merchant, Shai not going to win. I think he'll eventually win. But this year, it's not it yet. Have they been impressive? Yes. If they run into Jokic, I think they're going to have a long day. I think they're going to have a really long day. I think it's also important to note that for this OKC game, Chet played the first game of the back-to-back against the Minnesota Timberwolves. He didn't play in the second game. And I think that's important because although I don't remember the Minnesota Timberwolves getting into a heavy 2-3 zone in that first game, I said it in the first meeting against the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think Chet could potentially be the person that can break them out of that zone. Because you could stick him in the corner, he can hit that three, or he could dive to the basket, get a shot at the dunker, or whatnot. You can make him flash to the free throw line. He can make that shot, but he can also make plays. He could drive towards the rim. He's very effective in those spots. Jalen Williams wants to catch the ball and slash to the rim. He's not flashing to the free throw line. And so, they got exposed. But like I said, this is not new. And until they can prove that they could break this 2-3 zone consistently is when they'll take that step to win a championship. Fool's gold, hot and cold, in a blindfold, Lakers in 5. Nah, Shannon Sharp is different for that. That man said OKC, KFC, UFC, Lakers in 5. Like, what the fuck the UFC got to do with that shit? Yo, Shannon Sharp is comedy. So, and obviously here's the thing too, right? You got to be able to score on that run if you're the Oklahoma City Thunder. like when the Minnesota Timberwolves are on that run. And by the way, too, right? The start of that run, a lot of it, Anthony Edwards was, for most of the fourth quarter, as a matter of fact, Anthony Edwards was on the bench. He played 3 minutes and 30 seconds in the fourth quarter. And obviously they're not a better team without Anthony Edwards. Obviously. But his inability to handle double teams and blitzes. I saw one where he just turned around and threw the fucking ball at Mike Conley. He's not even trying to make a good pass. There was another situation in that other game against OKC. He hit the guy that flashed to the free throw line. I think it was Nickeil Alexander-Walker. And now granted, this wasn't necessarily Anthony Edwards' fault. I don't think Alexander Walker should have flashed to the free throw line. I think he should have given the ball to Rob Dillingham, who was on the wing next to him. And then, Rob could have driven towards the paint. He would have had a kick out. and so on and so forth. But, Anthony Edwards' decision making is not the best in double teams at the moment. And for a team like the Oklahoma City Thunder, who's really good at team defense, and when they know what the game plan is, for example, Anthony Edwards is going to get the ball, they know how to deal with that defensively. As opposed to now you get to let these other players show their skills and talent that don't typically get the opportunity to do that. Certain nights it can catch you off guard. Right? Jaden McDaniels had 7 in that fourth quarter. Naz Reid 7, 6 for Alexander Walker, 6 for Rob Dillingham, 11 for Terrence Shannon Jr. It can catch you off guard, right? It is what it really is. Then when he got in and he immediately tried to be Superman and airballed. No, for real. Some of those things, right, that we were talking about with Anthony Edwards, making bad passes, making bad decisions, forcing shots. If you're a teammate of his in the fourth quarter, it'll check you out of some games. Even with the understanding that this guy is your best player, that this guy is supposed to carry you guys, his inefficiency in the fourth quarter, I would imagine, would check you out of a game. And so they made this run, obviously, with him on the bench. And even in overtime, he played 1:48. Played 1:48 in overtime. I hope this is a wake-up call. Because Anthony Edwards is really good. I was hyper analyzing his game. I think I kind of figured out. I figured him out a little bit more during this Oklahoma City Thunder back-to-back. Because when you look at Shea and when you look at Anthony Edwards, right? At face value, you would think Anthony Edwards should be able to get to the basket at any given time whenever he wants to, because he's faster, quicker, jumps higher. Hell, he might be stronger if not as strong as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, right? Even though he's younger. He's like a fucking running back. But when you watch the game, who gets to the rim more consistently? It's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And I think I've kind of figured it out. Anthony Edwards, what he's comfortable in doing on the basketball court, right, is exactly what the defense wants him to do. I think Anthony Edwards is a much better basketball player going to his right. But Anthony Edwards, the moves that he wants to make, the things that he's trying to do night in and night out, a lot of it is going to his left. And we spoke about this the other day, right? He's going to go to his left. And the thing about Anthony Edwards that I've noticed a lot too, right? He's pretty upright when he's dribbling. So naturally, the ball is next to him, right? It's next to him and he's upright. So what happens if you're dribbling the basketball, you're more upright and the ball is next to you instead of in front of you? What happens? Your natural movement would be to step back. Because if you have the ball in front of you, stepping back with the ball in front of you is going to be harder, right? And you will really notice this. Watch the next time the Timberwolves are playing. Even when Anthony Edwards does a between the legs going to his right. If you watch it, 7-8 times out of 10 when he does the left to right tween, the ball is at his hip. It's never in front of him. And so when you're talking about someone that's trying to explode to the basket and the ball is behind you, when he now explodes, it takes a second. As opposed to compare him, watch how Shai Gilgeous-Alexander does a left to right tween. His shoulder's already out. He's already heading in that direction, as opposed to Anthony Edwards, who's a little bit more upright. Anthony Edwards' movements naturally lends to a step back, a sidestep kind of move. And I think if Anthony Edwards can adjust that a little bit over the summer, get more downhill, go at the person's knees, go at their hip, go at their outer foot, he'll have a lot more success getting around people. Because right now, if like I said the other day, if the scouting report is force Anthony Edwards to his left, then you know exactly what he's going to do. He's going to do his little in and out. It's like a weird in and out dribble that he does. It's like a weird in and out escape dribble that he does into a step back. Right? Or he'll do his left hard dribble punch step into a step back. Even if he tweens right, he's going to snatch it back in front of him and step back. Everything is to his left. And when you see him, when he gets to his right hand, he gets to go downhill to the basket a little bit more. So I think he needs to watch a lot more tape of other players over the summer if I were him. He needs to work on that mid-range game. And I think he'll become even more unstoppable. But in watching him over the weekend, I see why he's not an MVP candidate just yet. I see why he's not an all-star game starter just yet. And, you know, he's spoken about trying to be more polished and trying to get better, and all those things are great, and hopefully he does those things. But there are still quite a bit of flaws in his game that he's going to have to iron out because they're not going nowhere. like I'm going to be honest with you right now, when it comes to the Minnesota Timberwolves, they're not going nowhere. Anthony Edwards' game is not built for the fourth quarter. It's just not. Because he's going to try to shoot 4 step-back threes to win a game, and that's just not going to get it done night in and night out. There's going to be some games where it'll work. Most games it won't. And he now has to deal with all of these things that he didn't have to deal with before. Right? He probably values Karl Anthony Towns so much right now. Because of how much he was able to play one-on-one, how much space Cat was able to create, and now it's just not there. But we'll see what happens with the Timberwolves. It was a great comeback, but again, I don't think that happens most nights. Because let me see how did they shoot in this fourth quarter? They probably missed everything. Yep, and there it is. There it is. The Oklahoma City Thunder were 2 of 15 from the three-point line in the fourth. 2 of 15. And you know, a large part in breaking the zone defense, your role players are going to have to hit threes, right? They're going to have to hit some catch and shoot threes. Kind of like that play that I was showing the other day when Shai was at the top of the key, tween right, gave it to Jalen Williams. Like they're going to have to hit those shots. And in order to do that. And, the other thing that I wanted to bring up, because, and, we'll get into this in a second, right? The Miami Heat lost to a zone defense in the NBA Finals, right? And a part of that was because LeBron and Wade were both settling for threes. Even though threes are important and can really break you out of a 2-3 zone, it's not the only way. And it was the year after that when it was all over the news, when Wade and LeBron had made this pact, right? They made the decision that they weren't shooting threes that year. Everything was to the rim, to the paint, going downhill, taking space from the other team, essentially. And when you have players that make that switch, especially against something like a zone and just in general, your shooters get so much more open shots than they already do. And for the Oklahoma City Thunder, right? Shea is going to have to be aggressive and hit shots when they face that zone. But Jalen Williams has to understand when his shot is going or isn't going in, and he needs to attack that zone defense. He needs to be able to get into the teeth of the defense and force some shots up or really open it up for a teammate. And like I said, I think Chet will help out a lot in that moving forward. But if you're a team right now and you try to run a bunch of zone defenses against the Oklahoma City Thunder for the last 25 games, that's a double-edged sword in my opinion. On one hand, it can really work out for you because you can win some games and take some games off of OKC. On the other hand, you could be giving this team a lot of good reps against a zone defense going into the playoffs. So we'll see how teams play them moving forward. Like I said, this shouldn't be a surprise. The Cleveland Cavaliers did this shit 2 months ago. They did this shit 2 months ago and shut down the Oklahoma City Thunder. Isaiah Hartenstein was trying to be Wilt Chamberlain out there, and if he's trying to be Wilt Chamberlain out there and you're the other team, that's a good thing. But good win for the Wolves, man. Good win for the Wolves. We'll see what happens to them moving forward. Now, before we actually get into this Lakers game, I wanted to point this out because I thought this was hilarious. We'll break this up. So, where is this? Does he even have like a little announcement video? Where is this? I hope he has chapters in this thing, so it'll be easy to find this. Because I think I saw the clip on Twitter. Dog, where is this? Maybe it's on Twitter. Let's see. Did I like it? Oh, they don't even have the video. I could have sworn they had a video. Anyway, so Paul George is apparently putting a pause on his podcast. He said, and I quote, "I want to let the Podcast P family know that after today's episode with Dwight, I plan to take a break from the pod just to focus on getting my body right, getting mentally right, and, help this squad make a push towards our goal to finish the season out. Give ourselves a chance to be in contentions to compete for a championship. Guys, you don't want to know how hard I laughed earlier because I thought this was fucking hilarious. Paul George just announced that he is stepping away from podcasting to focus on rehab and winning an NBA title. The Philadelphia 76ers have played 57 games in this season. They have 25 games left in the year. 25. They're 12th. They're 12th. You mean to tell me that 20 games in, 30 games in even, before 42 or 41 games for sure, it never dawned on you, Paul George, that the season is fucked and that maybe you should have made this decision weeks ago or at least a month ago just for public perception's sake. Because making this announcement now with 25 games left looks fucking nuts. Like, if I off, the comments got to PG. He is soft. No, I think it's just brain dead. It's too late. It's too late. He wasn't healthy to start the year. And then everything shit itself like 20 games in. It never dawned on him then when Jared McCain went out. When Joel Embiid still hasn't played. It never dawned on him then to maybe do this just so in public perception he don't look nuts. Doing it with 25 games left is just disingenuous. To win a championship? Motherfucker, y'all are 12. The 76ers just released a statement the other day about trying to find alternative ways to fix what's going on with Joel Embiid's knee. You are better off just podcasting and vlogging the rest of the fucking year. The year is over for y'all, man. like, what? Oh, man. Paul George is funny. He's funny, man. Like, there's no way he thought this was a brilliant idea. They have 25 games left. 25. 25 fucking games left. Now, we'll go from that situation to, a team that has championship aspirations, right? Which are the Los Angeles Lakers and their newly acquired superstar Luka Doncic, who went up against his former team for the first time last night, right? They had my man doing push-ups and warm-ups. I mean, you are not ready for this version of Luka Doncic, ladies and gentlemen. You are just not ready for it. I don't know if it's Ozempic. I don't know if he's on whatever homeboy that came in here one time was talking about LeBron was doing. I don't know what the fuck happened. But that boy looks slimmer. And granted, I don't think he's at 100% quite yet. But he looks solid. He looks solid. Podcasting got nothing to do with injuries. Draymond was still doing it while the Warriors sucked. No, and to your point, Bruce, to your point, to your point, Bruce, I think, you can say whatever you want about Draymond, but he goes and addresses all of the situations immediately on his podcast. He don't run. He don't bullshit. To your point, like, stick it out, right? Like, just stick it out at this point. You've already been doing it up until now. You doing the podcast isn't going to stop or prevent you from doing your workouts. At least it shouldn't. But, hey, man, that's his decision. Yeah, I thought it was lame, too. Lakers won't win shit in 5, 6, 7. I don't know. Obviously, right, the Dallas Mavericks were very shorthanded last night. Very, very shorthanded last night. So much so that Kyrie had to come in with a new look. They've lost so many players. Kyrie thought he could change his look and maybe get in and pretend to be someone else. But, this is my takeaway, right? Because I think a lot of us felt like Luka got wronged in this situation. And I personally feel like whatever was going on with the Dallas Mavericks organization and whatever their goals were, it's much bigger than Luka, right? Luka was just a casualty of war, essentially. He was just in the way, right? This is much bigger than Luka Doncic, in my opinion. Whether we find out what it actually is or not is going to be a whole nother thing. But I think this is beyond him. And because of that, I think a lot of us want to see him do well, especially against the Dallas Mavericks. I know I do. And the reality of last night's game is what? Luka Doncic has not played much basketball since like December, since the Christmas game, essentially, right? And so when it comes to expecting something out of a player that hasn't had much time on the floor, it's silly for us to expect him to go for 50, even though he's capable of it, right? Everyone was talking about his first shot. His first couple of shots will tell you a lot about what the game is going to look like. He bricked his first shot really bad. Granted, he hit, I think, his next 2 or 3, but he bricked that first shot really badly. And I think another aspect in this that's getting overlooked is that Lakers team is going to be dangerous. I agree, honestly. I agree. Here's, I think, another reality that Luka is dealing with that he's never had to deal with before. I think that for the first time in Luka Doncic's career, or in his life even, this is the first time he questions whether he's the best player on the floor or not. Because he looks at a guy in LeBron James, and maybe LeBron currently isn't better than Luka, but he sees LeBron and the history and how good he even is at 40 years old still. And I think he says, shit. I think it's for the first time in Luka's career he's ever had that thought. And obviously it comes with adjustments. It comes with growing pains. And when you take a player that also isn't in the playing shape that he could be, you obviously get the Luka Doncic that we've gotten the last 2 weeks or so. And so for him to even get his triple-double, I thought was nice. 19, 15, and 12 with 3 steals, 2 blocks. Didn't shoot the ball great, but, I mean, you take the good with the bad, right? Thinking and Lakers should not be in the same sentence, Elijah. I will say this about the Los Angeles Lakers. The Los Angeles Lakers, if they're in the business of entertainment, have done an unbelievable job of doing just that over the last couple years. Right? You know, landing LeBron and eventually getting all of the points records and all of those things in the recent, like last year where they weren't winning so much. They had a lot of history. Bronny coming in. The Lakers trade. I mean, they're just professionals when it comes to entertainment. But I think this is where they make the shift to try to win again. Because you'd have to with someone like Luka. And I got to give LeBron his credit for last night. Because I think LeBron realized pretty early on that it wasn't the Luka night that we were all kind of hoping he would have. I mean, he was 1 for 7 from 3, 6 of 17 from the field. He did not shoot the ball well. And LeBron understanding that, and also understanding that the Dallas Mavericks are probably expecting Luka to try and take over in a tight game in the fourth quarter. You know, to take over, I think, was just extremely smart. It was just extremely smart. And the other thing that I noticed is this is the first time since Cleveland and Miami where the slot cut and the baseline cut for LeBron gets unlocked again. Ever since he played with Anthony Davis, that particular play has not been it's not been a part of their offense as much. Like, LeBron has had the most success when he's with a great point guard that can score and a shooting big. We've seen it twice over on 2 different teams. And especially at this point, you know, I think Luka, like I said, has unlocked something that hasn't been there since he played with Kyrie and since he played with Dwayne Wade. And so I think that's something positive for the Lakers. You know, playing LeBron exclusively at the power forward position, I think for me is still not the best thing. Because he's not playing defense like he was in Miami or, you know, in the playoffs in Cleveland. So that's something that we still got to watch moving forward. I'll keep the same energy if the Lakers win, but I doubt it will happen. The 30 for 30 documentary of LeBron greatness at 40 is going to be hilarious. Well, that's twofold. Are you saying, Bruce, that the Lakers will never win if they keep Luka for the rest of his career? Or are you saying they're not going to win while LeBron is still there? Because those are 2 different things. Now, I'll be honest with you. If somehow, some way, Luka never wins a championship, would that be one of the most tragic things that we've seen in NBA history? Would that be one of the biggest letdowns that we've ever seen? Someone at 25 get traded and, you know, don't end up winning a championship, who has won at every level. Yeah, I think that would be really tough. You know, a lot of people have been talking about it, and they said even if Dallas wins a championship, it might not matter, because a lot of people will say, and a lot of things, and you know, some people said that, you know, Mavericks fans will be mad because they'll say we could have won that with Luka. And to win it without him would almost be like it almost won't hit the same for a lot of local fans in Dallas. And I'm curious if that's to be true or not. If they can play spoiler in all of this and win a championship in the next year or two, I think it goes a long way. I'm not going to lie to you. LeBron will never win a chip again, and things will come about LeShot. Oh, you're on the same boat as homeboy. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, Michael Jordan is always been my GOAT, so if we can protect that indefinitely, I'm cool. I'm good with that. Fuck. Now, what was I gonna? What the fuck was I about to say? Fuck, I just blacked out. Oh, this is what I was gonna say. Because Kyrie Irving was so good last night, right? 35, 12 of 27, 5 of 11 from 3, 6 of 6, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks. I mean, he's great. He was great. The Luka Doncic trade, I think people forget how good Kyrie Irving is. And, I've already spoken about, I think Anthony Davis is one of the best bigs that we have in the league. And, with the numbers he puts up, I think at times he can be underappreciated, right? What if Kyrie Irving fucks around and becomes the best player over like a 2-month span and wins a championship? I mean, how, at least as a fan of Kyrie Irving, right? If the NBA is, trying to position the Lakers to win a championship in the next year or two, if Kyrie Irving can play spoiler, because I'm sure he's probably the last motherfucker that they want to win a championship and be the MVP and lead that team, how satisfying would that be? And the only reason I don't think it'll happen is, one, we've never seen Kyrie be the leading force of a team to win a championship, right? We've never seen him as option A. There's no disrespect to him. We've just never seen it. But two, Klay Thompson is not Klay Thompson no more. And if Klay Thompson was the guy that's shooting, what was this year that was really great for him? If Klay Thompson isn't shooting 48.8% from the field, 44% from 3 for 20 points per game, and is 11th in the Defensive Player of the Year voting, if that was the Klay Thompson that the Dallas Mavericks got, then I would be a lot more optimistic about this. But the reality is, the version of Klay that they have currently is 41.7%, 39.8% for 13.9 points per game. That's the version of Klay Thompson that they have. And especially moving forward, how did they expect to win a championship if that is supposed to be the third guy in line and you can't depend on him? Even if Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis are great, who is going to be that third person? Because PJ Washington is unproven and he's still young. And Klay Thompson just isn't the same Klay Thompson anymore. I would love it if they were to go on a run and just say fuck everybody. But I don't think that'll be the case. Now, I think it's like at the end of April or May, right, when the Lakers and the Mavericks play again in Dallas. I expect that game to be unreal. Because, Luka, it's against the organization. He's going to want to put on a show for those fans that have supported him, even if he's on the other side of it. And I'm sure a lot of those fans who are Mavericks fans it's going to be fuck the Dallas Mavericks that day. And so that's the game I'm looking for after Luka has lost a little bit more weight, after he's in better shape than he is now, after he's more acclimated with the team. I think that's going to be the game to watch out for, because like I said, last night was a little premature. Even though we wanted it to be something else. I mean, triple-double is still triple-double, but Luka is not where he wants to be just yet. So we just got to wait and see. We just got to wait and see. Man. Now, is there anything else that I have? I think that's all for me for today, man. I think that's all I got for today, man. Now, before I get out of here, man, please like, comment, and subscribe, all that good stuff. It really helps the channel out. I really, really appreciate y'all so much, man. As always, couldn't do this without y'all. Y'all are the fucking best. We trying to take this to the moon, to heights that we've never seen, but I'm going to need y'all to get there. So please like, comment, and subscribe, all that good stuff. But I really appreciate y'all as always. Elijah, you're the fucking GOAT. Bruce, you're the fucking GOAT. I appreciate y'all so much, man. I will see y'all on Friday. Y'all have a great Wednesday. Y'all have a great Thursday. And we'll be right back here on Friday, man. I appreciate y'all so much. Y'all could have been anywhere on the internet, but y'all were here with me. And I appreciate you for that. And I'll see y'all later, man. Y'all have a good one. Peace, 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 peace. I'll see y'all, man. Have a good one. Later, y'all.